As we watch stocks hit session lows into the close ahead of a big earnings report by Nvidia.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm just reading into something. It feels a little ominous as we get ready for Nvidia earnings. You've got Nvidia now down just a hair. That's the big one, but it is interesting to see some selling here into the close.
It's not the only company reporting after the bell. In just a couple of minutes, we expect to hear from Salesforce. We'll hear from Synopsys, HP Inc., C3AI, Elf Beauty, and others too.
Yeah, this feels like the last hurrah of this earnings season. Once Nvidia is through, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, what's the next catalyst for this market that feels very much, even as it melts higher, range-bound?
Here, how about more restrictions from the Trump administration on different sectors? So the latest, according to the FT, is that the chip software designers need to stop China sales, and that obviously is why Synopsys is getting hit pretty hard. But again, we still have that tumult when it comes to headline risk.
Synopsys down about 10% right now. It is bouncing off the lows, but a huge drawdown here on that name. Cadence Design down 11, Keysight down about 2, and Ansys down about 5%. We should point out that when you take Synopsys, Cadence, and then the U.S. business of Siemens, that accounts for about 80% of the market here that Trump is said to be targeting based on that Financial Times story. Let's walk you through the closing bell numbers as we await these earnings reports as we get the bells in New York. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down more than 200 points, or roughly about 0.6%. The S&P down about 30 points or so, or 0.5%. The NASDAQ Composite and NASDAQ 100 each going to end the day down roughly about 0.5 percentage point on the day, while the Russell 2000 lower by about 20-something points, or 1% on the day.
All right, quick headline crossing. Tesla said to target the robo-taxi launch in Austin on June 12th. So we know they sometimes put out targets. Sometimes they make it. Sometimes they don't. Back to the big market. S&P 500, most names lower, remain 421 to the downside.
All right, let's take a quick look at the IMF. It's pretty straightforward. Red all around, all 11 sectors finishing in the red right now. The biggest decliners are utilities, materials, and energy stocks. Those are basically unchanged. Real estate investment trusts, communication services, and tech.
All right, to some of the individual gainers as we wait for earnings to cross among some companies, including Nvidia. Hey, Abercrombie & Fitch, definitely a standout, 36%. At its intraday high, finishing the day with about a 15% gain. First quarter comp sales and adjusted EPS did top consensus estimates.
Hollister.
I know. Well, Tim's been shopping there. I don't know about you, but
I'm too old for Hollister.
No, I'm too old for Hollister. I was told by Mary Ross Gilbert this was a Gen Z. Hollister's Gen Z. So,
Tim, you're among friends. You can share.
What else you got, Carol?
Joby Aviation. Check this out, guys. Up 29%. Toyota Motor investing $250 million in the company. It's about a $7 billion market cap. I didn't know if you knew that by now. Air taxi maker completing the first half of a previously announced $500 million commitment. So the move makes Toyota the largest shareholder in Joby. And then Vail Resorts. We broke down the earnings after the close yesterday, folks. Up almost 9%. Executive Chair Rob Katz is coming back to the company, to the CEO post, succeeding Kirsten Lynch, who has stepped down from the role. I mean, we talked about this. Tim knows this company. We talked about it yesterday. Investors took this as a big positive, as this guy is someone who has really kind of changed how you look at some of the ski slopes. And, of course, the Epic Pass introducing that. So kind of changing it and maybe hoping to help juice the company going forward.
All right, some of the gainers as we do wait Nvidia numbers. I got some of the decliners. I want to start with Okta reporting after the bell yesterday. Shares fell more than 16%.
Hey, I'm just going to interrupt you. Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
Salesforce earnings crossing the wire right now. The company reporting first quarter adjusted operating income in line with estimates, about $3.17 billion. Sales overall, 2.13. The street on average was looking for 2.16. So a modest miss on the headline sales number. Revenue still was up about 7.6% in the period. Adjusted EPS, $2.58 a share. That is a modest beat. The street was looking for about, I'm not sure what the comparison is with the street, but it's reported $2.44 in the year ago period. Here's your forecast going forward. The company says that for the full year, it does see revenue of $41 to $41.3 billion. That's above its previous guidance of $40.5 to $40.9. So a modest bump up in its full year revenue forecast here. The company also saying that it sees no impact to its full year guidance with regards to that Informatica deal, which of course we reported a couple of days ago.
Yeah, shares to the upside right now by about 4%, bouncing around a little bit. Mark Benioff, chair and CEO, saying, quote, "We built a deeply unified enterprise AI platform with agents, data apps, and a metadata platform that's unmatched in the industry. Back to a couple more decliners as we do await to hear from more companies reporting results after the bell. Okta falling 16%. Stellantis also falling today, down 3%. The company did come out and name Antonio Filosa as its new CEO. Antonio Filosa, a company veteran with U.S. experience. The attempt here will be to reverse the company's slump in the U.S. market due to an aging lineup, model delays, and pricing blunders. Bernstein said that there was some disappointment, likely some disappointment, that the board did not choose an outsider, though Filosa is still seen as a, quote, safe pair of hands. And finally, GameStop falling by about 11% today. The company did announce that it bought more than 4,700 Bitcoin. It's the video game seller's first Bitcoin purchase after announcing in March that it plans to become a treasury reserve asset, a cryptocurrency treasury reserve asset, following the model set out by Michael Saylor over at the company formerly known as MicroStrategy.
Such a head scratcher. Real quick check-in on the bond market, guys. We saw selling pretty much across the curve, but pretty tame. The 5-year auction went down with not a lot of fanfare. So you see the long end, though, just up by about 3 basis points. Going back to Salesforce here, the company actually raising its full-year revenue guidance to the high end of $41.3 billion. The company originally saw $40.9 billion on the high end. They're also looking at a currency tailwind now, and they're taking a look at that guidance. And some interesting data when it comes to AI. They said that cloud data and AI annual recurring revenue is now over $1 billion, which is up more than 120% year on year.
And this gets to the idea, too. I mean, we were just talking on the close, guys, a little while ago with Paul Christopher at Wells Fargo about the investment opportunity. We heard this from Kara Murphy as well. The idea that some of these large cap tech names are, in their view, not just growth stocks, but to a certain degree defensive when they consider how much cash that they are able to throw off. And you see right now, CRM up about 5%, Scarlett.
All right, let's go in the opposite direction from tech to a consumer staple. Elf Beauty reporting results, and we're looking at a fourth quarter adjusted EPS of 78 cents, beating the consensus estimate by a nickel. As for revenue, $332 million, also higher than what was anticipated, which was about $327.4 million. In addition, Elf Beauty buying Rode in a $1 billion deal. It's a definitive pact to buy Rode, and we'll try to get you more details on this, but for now, making a big M&A announcement in addition to beating estimates.
That's Hailey Bieber, right?
That's Hailey Bieber, and I think it had been being shopped around a little bit, so interesting to see that they picked it up, right? And this is what we see with the major makeup companies, right? Whether it's Estee Lauder, whether it's all the other ones that are out there, you know, they pick up these smaller brands.
All right, guys, take a look at Synopsys here. So obviously that stock got hit into earnings due to the FT report that President Trump is ordering U.S. chip software suppliers to stop selling to China. In the actual numbers, though, taking a look at its second quarter, adjusted earnings coming in better than estimated. Their revenue also up 10%. Their full year adjusted earnings is also increased on that high end. They still see their full year revenue a little bit higher than estimated. So they reaffirm their full year revenue guidance and they increase their full year earnings guidance, and they wound up beating on the second quarter. However, you see the stock now sort of flat pre-market, not doing that much, but recouping some of that drama that we saw into the close today.
All right, guys, we got a software, cybersecurity or security software company just reporting. We're talking about SentinelOne, and let's get right to the outlook. See second quarter revenue of $242 million. That's about $3 million light. The estimate on the street was $245 million. Also talking about fiscal year revenue forecast, $996 million to $1 billion. It had seen numbers above that of $1.01 billion. So again, that one was a bit of a miss. It also approved a $200 million share buyback program, but you can see investors not too impressed, folks. The stock is down 9% here in the aftermarket.
All right, let's talk life sciences. Agilent, of course, makes equipment for the biotech and life sciences industry, as well as a lot of the ingredients that go into pharmaceuticals. Net revenue coming in at a beat, $1.67 billion. The street was looking for $1.63. Adjusted EPS also beating $1.31. The street was looking for $1.27. Here's your guidance for the full year. The company says that full year adjusted EPS will be in the range of $5.54 a share to $5.61 a share. That's above the average of analyst estimates, which were looking for 5.55, and says that for the full year revenue will be in the range of $6.73 billion to $6.8 billion. That's a bump up from the previous guidance that it had given about a quarter ago.
Okay, speaking of life sciences, the cloud provider for life sciences, Veeva Systems, up 10%. in the after hours. The company boosted its fiscal year adjusted EPS forecast. First quarter adjusted gross margin coming in above estimates too at 79.2%. First quarter adjusted operating income coming above estimates at $350 billion. First quarter adjusted gross profit also beating expectations at $600.8 million. The company does see second quarter revenue coming in at between $766 million to $769 million, beating estimates of $750.8 million. Shares higher by about 11% as we speak.
All right, we are still awaiting those results out of Nvidia. A closer look at what's going on in the AI space. Meanwhile, a smaller AI company, C3 AI, is out with its results. And the headline here is actually an expansion of a partnership that it's had with Baker Hughes. They're expanding that joint venture through June of 2028. The company also reporting earnings. It looks like they're beating on both the top and the bottom line. Those shares up about 15% in the after hours trade.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Our cross-platform coverage, a lot of earnings, and we're still waiting on Nvidia, which in the aftermarket is just up about 0.5%, but waiting for them to cross in about 10 minutes' time. That is a wrap. Radio, TV, YouTube, Bloomberg Originals. We do it across the platform. I know, Alex, I think you're heading out. Scarlet and Romaine, of course, continuing there on the TV side, and Tim and I are going to continue on the radio side as we wait for those Nvidia earnings. Guys, we'll see you again, same time, same place tomorrow.